The countdown to 1,000-pound sisters' wedding is on. 1,000 lb Sisters star Amy Slaton is getting ready to walk down the aisle, but will her sister Tammy and family be there? Fans are curious about how involved her sister Tammy will be in her Halloween wedding to fiancé Brian Scott Levorn. Amy posted a happy selfie of herself and Brian at a Tennessee amusement park, noting that there are just 39 days left till her special day. With Tammy and her other siblings initially declining to travel, people in the comment section questioned whether the Slaton clan would be attending the wedding. As the Slaton family declines to attend Amy's wedding, tensions increase. One follower commented beneath the picture of Amy and Brian, "Have you convinced your family to come?" Since it has long been known that Tammy disapproves of Amy's connection with Brian, the question has been on everyone's mind. Since Amy did not respond to the comment, the question is still open. The family has voiced their worries that Amy's personal growth has stopped since she started dating Brian, citing her incarceration and the decreased rate of her weight loss. Amy and her siblings Tammy, Chris, Amanda, and Misty have argued a lot over Amy and Brian's relationship and wedding. "We want with you him. We just want you to take your time and get to know him more," Tammy said her sister, reassuring her that was not the case. Amy's statement, "If you don't want to be in my life, you don't have to be," deepened the divide between the sisters. Amy found it difficult to understand her sister's viewpoint because her family was still not going to the wedding. "None of y'all are coming to the wedding, so why does it even matter?" she was crying. "It's for me, so no one else is coming," is the essence of the situation. "It basically means that my family despises me." As she stormed out of the room, she shouted, "I'm done, I'm gone, I'm going home." The chronology of Amy and Brian's relationship. Even though Amy didn't feel a connection at first, Brian persuaded her to go on a date with him, and they have been in love ever since. They first met in 2024 at a park concert. Although it was only disclosed in a 1,000-pound sisters program that aired on TLC in May 2025, the couple got engaged in October 2024. At Henderson Haunts in Kentucky, where Amy's sisters Tammy and Amanda were also in attendance, Brian proposed. Brian proposed to his new fiancée by giving her a silver ring adorned with two skeleton hands in the shape of a heart, rather than a conventional diamond. In their brief relationship, Amy and Brian had encountered many difficulties, such as an arrest and her own family's worries that they were moving too fast. The 37-year-old told cameras, "We're moving so fast, but it just makes sense," however, didn't sit well with Amy. When Brian first saw her sons, Glenn and Gage, who she shares with her ex-husband Michael Halterman, Amy claimed she knew he was her soulmate. But when Tammy Slaton, star of 1,000-Pound Sisters, hinted at a potential 90-day fiancé crossover, fans went crazy. The reality star posted a picture of herself wearing House of 11 merchandise on Instagram stories last week. Tammy posed wearing a black cap and a gray blouse from the apparel line. Andrea Dalton, her fiancé, donned the same ensemble. The 90-day fiancé, twins, Darcy and Stacy Silva, are the owners of the fashion label House of 11. In honor of their late brother Michael Silva, the sisters started the company in October 2010. A variety of apparel and accessories are available in the Darcy and Stacy collection. Coco Austin, Jeannie Mai, Jessica Alba, and Keke Palmer are a few celebrities who have worn their merchandise. It was immediately inferred by fans that Tammy was implying a potential partnership with Darcy and Stacy. But is it actually taking place? Although a crossover between 1,000-Pound Sisters and 90-Day Fiancé has not been confirmed, fans are already giddy with anticipation. Even possible scenarios involving Tammy, Darcy, and Stacy have been suggested by some. There are fans who would be thrilled to see Tammy and the Silva twins discuss cosmetic surgery. While Tammy just underwent surgery to remove excess skin after losing weight, Darcy and Stacy are famous for their numerous operations. Others propose a makeover section in which Tammy is given a snatched appearance by Darcy and Stacy. Some fans, meanwhile, express their delight over the potential collaboration on Reddit. "I would love a collaboration between Tammy and Amy and Darcy and Stacy," said one fan. "I'm confident Tammy would enjoy herself immensely. I don't know about Amy." I didn't think I'd see a 90-day/1,000-pound sisters crossover, another person said. What a wonderful moment to be alive. Another commented, the TLC multiverse strikes again. It's such a strange crossover, but I'm here for it. Fans of 1,000-pound sisters are also quick to point out Tammy's significant physical changes. She addressed one of her main anxieties, which was her teeth, in addition to losing a significant amount of weight and removing extra skin. Tammy disclosed that she eventually received dental bridges in August. They're still temporary, but the glue wasn't holding, so they had to cement them in. Well, it was being rejected by my body. However, they had to extract teeth. It's a bridge, Tammy stated in a prior interview with the podcast Creative Chaos. I continue to accomplish more with it. It's a procedure. But Amy Slaton, the vivacious, occasionally erratic, but always affectionate sister on 1,000-pound sisters, was well known in the small Kentucky community of Dixon. However, the Slaton family was rocked one summer evening when Amy was taken into custody after being found in possession of a minor quantity of illegal drugs. Her mugshot was splashed throughout social media by tabloids, and the news quickly went viral. Once amused by her unusual sense of humor, her fans now wondered how far she had fallen. The following morning, with her face white and her eyes swollen from crying, Amy was released on bond. When she got home, Tammy, Chris, Amanda, and Misty were waiting for her, all of them wearing a mix of sadness and rage. Special permission was granted for TLC cameras, which typically document the family's highs and lows, to record this stressful event. The hush was broken by Chris, the older brother who frequently took on the role of guardian. Amy, are you even aware of your actions? Your boys, your family, and your future are more important than simply you. Amy's lip trembled. I felt overpowered. I believed I could manage the show's filming, raising the boys alone, and the divorce. However, I was unable to. I made a foolish error. Everyone was taken aback by Tammy, who had previously struggled with addiction and bad coping techniques. Wheeling over to Amy, she took her hand. You believe that you are the only one who has made mistakes? I almost killed myself by eating myself and drinking myself to death. Everybody has demons. But Amy, you have to confront them, not hide behind them. The intervention was emotional and unfiltered. The most direct of the siblings, Amanda, didn't mince words. You have 2 little boys who are observing everything you do, girl. Do you want them to grow up believing that this is acceptable? You've already put up a great fight for your health. Don't discard it for something similar. When Amy realized the consequences of her actions, tears fell down her cheeks. The goal of the intervention was to pull her back before she lost everything, not only to call her out. Amy met with an addiction counselor and a therapist thanks to arrangements made by TLC executives. As Amy attended her first group meeting, cameras trailed her uncomfortably as people told her stories of hope, healing, and sorrow. For the first time, Amy publicly acknowledged, I'm Amy and I'm afraid. However, I don't want to lose myself or my family. Amy gradually started to put her life back together over the course of the following few weeks. She was largely dependent on Tammy, who shocked her supporters by becoming her staunchest supporter. Once chastised for supporting one another's unhealthy behaviors, the sisters were now united by a new purpose, resilience and rehabilitation. As soon as fans showered social media with encouraging messages after news broadcast a special update on Amy's arrest and subsequent intervention. Stay Strong Amy's days-long trend demonstrated that people still had faith in her in spite of the incident. By the end of the season, Amy was standing in front of her loved ones with pride. Her grin was sincere, and she appeared better. You guys, I made a mistake. I'm not done battling, though. I'd like to survive. For my boys, for me, for us all. The loudest applaud came from Tammy, who was crying. You see? My sister is that. I know Amy like that. The sisters' embrace at the close of the show served as a potent reminder that forgiveness and family may shine a light even in the darkest of circumstances. But Tammy was sitting in her recliner, nervously tinkering with a tiny vape pen as the summer sun poured through the Slaton sisters' Kentucky house. After losing a significant amount of weight, She had been working diligently with her doctors and therapists for months in order to achieve a goal she had previously believed was unachievable: skin removal surgery. It was the next step toward taking back her life, but she had been plagued by anxiety lately. Gage tottered behind Amy as she entered the room after noticing her sister's uncomfortable demeanor. "Are you okay, Tammy?" Amy said. "You've been looking worried all morning," as she folded her hands and sat on the couch. Tammy let out a long sigh. "I have to be honest with you, Amy. I have resumed vaping. I'm afraid now. What happens if the physicians learn? What happens if they tell me I can't get my surgery?" The faltering words sounded almost like a confession. Amy's expression softened. She was aware of Tammy's feelings about the procedure. Tammy had finally lost enough weight to be eligible after years of battling obesity, hospitalizations, and near-death situations. However, one thing was obvious from the doctors: no nicotine. In addition to slowing healing and raising the risk of infection, smoking and vaping may even make surgery too risky. Amy remarked softly, "You've put in too much effort to let this ruin everything, Tammy. I understand that vaping might be stressful, but you must not allow it to take over your life. You are free after surgery, girl." Tammy's eyes filled with tears. "I don't want to return to my former self. I don't want to miss this opportunity. But I always reach for the vape when I'm feeling anxious or lonely. It seems to be the only thing that helps me relax." At that moment, Chris dropped by with a grocery bag after work. He placed the bag on the counter after hearing the final portion of the talk. With firmness yet kindness, he said, "Let me tell you something, Tam. You are stronger than a vape. You've already overcome your food addiction and shed all of that weight. Do you believe that a battery-powered puff machine is unbeatable? Hurry up now." Tammy shook her head and laughed through her tears. "You must always make it seem easy." "Because it is," said Chris. "This is not something you do for the surgery alone. Your future, your heart, and your lungs are the reasons you do it. You have us, you have a loving man, and you have another chance at life. Don't discard it." Amy gave a nod of consent. "You can quit again. You have already done it once. We'll assist you, even if it means keeping you occupied all day and concealing that vape pen." Tammy sat by herself in her room that night, gazing at the vape pen on her bedside table. She had a war zone in her head. Whispering promises of stress-relieving relaxation were on one side of the craving. On the other was a picture of her walking with assurance following surgery, unburdened by the emotional and physical burden she had carried throughout her life. She took up the pen slowly, flipped it over in her hands, and put it into the trash can without hesitation. Not from nicotine withdrawal, but rather from the knowledge of the decision she had just made, her chest felt constricted. She informed her family of her actions the following morning. Tammy felt a glimmer of hope for the first time in weeks when Amy gave her a close hug and Chris gave her a proud pat on the back. She now had a cause greater than any habit: the opportunity to finally live the life she had always imagined. The journey ahead would not be easy. There would be cravings, stress, and times of weakness. Tammy realized she was prepared to battle for it at that very moment. But Tammy gripped the steering wheel like it was a lifeline while she sat in the driver's seat of her old SUV, which had some minor dents in it. Every blemish and line of concern on her face was highlighted by the morning sun as it slanted through the glass. Amy, seated next to her, made an effort to lighten the atmosphere. "Tammy, please," Amy replied, giving her sister a shoulder rub. "The park is only a short drive away. You'll be all right." Tammy's knuckles turned white. "A short drive? You know I'm afraid of traffic, Amy. What if I am unable to halt in time? What happens if I'm interrupted?" Squeezing her hand, Amy reached across. "After that, we handle it. Haven't you dealt with worse than traffic?" Tammy laughed nervously as she recalled the last time she had encountered something terrible. Amy was correct, however, in saying that they had overcome obstacles in the past. The sisters were in the kitchen later that afternoon getting ready for a family meal. Along with laughter and the occasional argument over who should have the larger piece of pie, the home was filled with the aroma of roasted chicken and garlic. As her extended relatives began to arrive one by one, Tammy had a slight twinge of apprehension. Voices rose, conversations overlapped, and the room grew smaller by the moment. Amy saw her sister stiffen and gently led her over to the sofa. "Just take a deep breath," Amy muttered. "It is not necessary for you to be everywhere at once. Take a seat. Savor your meal. Allow the mayhem to occur without you taking the burden." Tammy allowed the warmth of family gently seep into her as she closed her eyes and breathed in the scent of roasting vegetables. The sisters made the decision to try something new a few days later, a 5K fun run in the neighborhood park. Amy suggested that it might be a novel experience, even though neither of them had ever thought of themselves as runners. Concerned about the spectators as well as the physical obstacle, Tammy wasn't entirely convinced. Tammy felt the same knot of anxiety in her gut as she put on her sneakers the morning of the run. Amy gave her a pat in return. "We get off to a poor start. One step at a time. Hey, we walk if we're tired. There is no pressure." The sisters started as the whistle blew. The initial strides felt heavy and unnatural, but they quickly settled into a rhythm. Amy's constant chatter helped Tammy forget about her anxieties. Tammy was laughing by the midway point, exhausted yet thrilled. Amy flung her arms around Tammy as she crossed the finish line. "You see? You succeeded." With tears stinging her eyes, Tammy grinned. "I did. Furthermore, it wasn't as frightening as I had assumed." The sisters sat on the porch swing that evening, sipping water and taking in the sunset, fatigued but victorious. After thinking back on the previous week, driving through traffic, cooking dinners for the family, and running the 5K, Tammy came to a significant realization. Avoiding the scary things of life was not the point of life. It involved tackling things head-on, step by step, with a companion by your side. And she believed she could handle anything with Amy by her side. Knowing that the miles, the meals, and the memories were only the start of many more adventures to come, the sisters sat in cozy stillness while the sun's golden glow swept over them. But the Slaton household was experiencing a normal, crazy morning. Amy's loyal husband Chris was up, attempting to prepare breakfast without causing a small catastrophe, even though the sun had just begun to peek through the blinds. In her beloved recliner, with a blanket slung across her shoulders, Tammy watched with a mixture of fear and laughter. Chris made the decision to prepare the fluffiest pancakes ever for everyone. However, the moment he placed the batter onto the pan, it became a boiling, slick mess that would not stay in the shape of a pancake. One pancake fell off the pan completely and landed on the floor with a dramatic plop, folding over itself like a dejected origami creation. Tammy couldn't contain her laughs. "Hey, Chris, that pancake did a backflip just now," she screamed while holding on to her sides. With her phone in hand and poised to record the chaos, Amy glanced across from the couch. Chris chose to improvise because he was never one to let cooking mistakes defeat him. He triumphantly flipped another pancake and said, "It's called modern pancake art." This one adhered to the ceiling instead of landing on the dish. As everyone gazed up at the doughy sculpture, there was a brief silence in the kitchen. The pancake then, seemingly at the right moment, slid slowly down the wall and landed, sort of perfectly on the counter. "Chris, you are literally the pancake Picasso of disaster," exclaimed Tammy, wiping away her tears of laughter. Amy sat down, laughing so hard that she was having trouble holding her phone steady. Even Amy's brother Brian, who was there that day, couldn't help but laugh at how ridiculous it was all. Chris then decided it was time to brew coffee, because he wasn't satisfied with just pancakes. However, in his characteristically humorous manner, he reached for a blender rather than the coffee machine. He made a brown, foamy mess that exploded all over the counter, and by the time he knew, it was too late. The kitchen was covered in little brown spots that resembled confetti as coffee spilled everywhere. Still laughing uncontrollably, Tammy said, "I've never been attacked by coffee before in my life." Chris took the sisters for a quick drive to grab ice cream later that day in an attempt to make amends. But as usual, he was able to precisely hit every bump in the road, sending Tammy's blanket flying off like a superhero cape. "You're making this into a roller coaster, Chris," Amy cried as she laughed so hard that tears were running down her cheeks. Despite everything that went wrong, There was something charming about Chris's unwavering optimism and accidental humor. Everyone was crying as they recapped the day's events by the time they got home. As Tammy often said, "Chris, you're amusing but hazardous." Chris, who still had some pancake on his shirt, sat down with his sisters on the couch as the sun was going down. He bowed as Amy handed him a napkin. He grinned and remarked, "I might try toast for my next trick." And with that, another day in the Slaton household came to a conclusion filled with love, laughter, and a reminder that sometimes the most hilarious things happen when the worst things happen. Hi there, lovely viewers. Welcome to my channel. My name is Mina, and I hope you're having a great day. Remember to subscribe to the channel if you enjoy the video.